Quiet Place, day one. Going back, Dan, we've got a big, fat prequel movie coming out.
Yeah.
In a few months' time, June 28th.
Yeah.
That kind of snuck up out of nowhere. Do we know? Obviously, we've watched the trailer. We've watched the trailer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about this film? Because I didn't even know it was a thing until the trailer.
As in, what is it? As in, it was coming out.
Yeah.
Only probably when we went through the list of films that are coming out in 2024.
See, this is I couldn't remember. I've made this up.
I'm sure it was mentioned
Yeah.
in that, but no, I had no knowledge about it, about what it was going to be about.
Do you think we'll see Krasinski?
I'm not excited for this one, if I'm honest.
Really? It looks a lot more.
It looks like Cloverfield.
Typical horror. That's what
No, it doesn't look like a horror film. It doesn't feel like a horror film. It feels like a big action monster, like a monster movie. It feels like Cloverfield. It feels like there's like things zipping around and killing everybody. And what I loved so much about The Quiet Place is that it wasn't, a huge city that's being torn apart. It's one family. You don't need to see what happened in order to understand how they've gotten there. And the terror of it is just, it's alien.
Yeah.
You just do the wrong thing at the wrong time and it will come out and there's nothing you can do about it. And, they had to outthink it and they had all these little tricks to kind of outthink it. It was so well thought through. Whereas this is just like, there's like 500,000 of them and they're just going to go around and kill everybody. Yeah. But then eventually people will figure out that, they're attracted to noise, and then it kind of, like, I imagine that we'll probably get Krasinski and Emily Blunt in it, even if it's just like as a flashback kind of thing.
Probably,
but it seems to be
the same as the trailer's done, where it shows you what we already know, and then it's just but then day one.
Yeah, but Cillian Murphy's in it, I think.
Nah, that was from the second one.
What, when he's running through the... I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's been a while since I've seen it.
He's like the uncle, isn't he?
Honestly, mate, I can't remember. But that was the only sort of thing I was like, oh, no way, he's in it. But clearly he didn't have a lasting impact from 2, because I can't remember that.
I mean, he was like one of the main characters in the second one.
Oh, is he? Because don't they sort of like meet up with them or something like that after? Yeah, no, that does sound familiar now, actually, yeah.
But I had a look on IMDb, Dan.
Okay.
And this one is an upcoming American post-apocalyptic horror film written and directed by Michael Sarnoski, based on an original story by John Krasinski and Sarnoski. So I don't think Mr. Krasinski is involved in this.
No, maybe he'll pop in and like you say, he'll do a flashback thing or something like that, maybe, or you'll see him like in a business suit before he has to run off and find Emily Blunt.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've got no issue with them sort of like going back and having a look at the day one. But again, I'd prefer it in that kind of like War of the Worlds, like Tom Cruise thing, where it's just him and his 2 kids, and it's just like the city's being decimated and there's thousands of people being slaughtered around them, but it's just purely focused on them rather than the action and the destruction. Like a lot of it you don't even see.
It could just be the beginning though. This might only be like.
But that
10, 15
if that's
minutes.
the case, and it's like you say, it's like 10, 15 minutes, and like it looked great though, like when there's things like explosions, like shockwaves and stuff like that, like all of that looked really, really good. And if it's focusing on different people and their particular stories and how they ended up like meeting Krasinski in the future or whatever, sure. But I'm just not as excited for it as I was when 2 came out.
I'll be honest, I wasn't excited for the second one.
Well, you're not, no.
No.
Well, because it was a sequel and you knew what happened in the first one.
I was happy to leave the first one as it was. Like, the first one's perfect. It's a fantastic film. It didn't need
I
a
could have
sequel.
left that as it is.
Yeah.
No, I'd agree with that, yeah.
And the second film's not a bad film, but just on terms of scale, I would say the first one is a 10 out of 10, and the second one is at most 7, at most. And that's being generous. I'd probably say 6.5, personally.
Well, I've seen 1 a couple of times, but I've only seen 2 once.
And you forgot who was in it.
And I forgot what happens in it. So, that's not a great endorsement of it, maybe. But But that's not to say that I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I don't remember not liking it. But this one, I'm just sort of like, I can go in with low expectations on this. Yeah. And if it just turns out to be great in the middle of it, then fucking amazing. Well done.
I mean, they seem...
But I'm not doing little dances for it.
It does show you, at least it implies, that they figure out they've got to be quiet. And you've got I can't remember the gentleman's name, but from Guardians.
Jimon Hunsu, I think his name is.
You got him.
Great get as well.
Yeah, he's a very good actor. You got him and the woman who had the cat at the beginning, or a dog. Some creature.
Is she deaf?
I've got a feeling she might be.
Because there was something about it that just... I don't know. That might just be me reading it wrong. I thought that's what they were doing.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. Yeah. But saying that's what they did with the first two.
Yeah.
The daughter's deaf, isn't she?
No, I thought it was the kid. The son. Because that's why he sets that fucking rocket off and gets killed.
No, it's the daughter because he makes because they figure out, spoiler, the frequency from her hearing aid affects them.
Yeah. But then that kid's a fucking idiot.
He is.
He set off that rocket going pew 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 pew, and then he got killed a bit. Well, yeah, it's same bloody fault. Then
that's just because he's a kid. Just wanted to
play with his toy. When Logan was 6 years old, if you said, if you make any noise, a massive monster will kill you, there is one to prove it. You better believe he wouldn't make any noise.
Yeah, but that's not a movie. If nothing happened to him and everything was fine, it's not a very good film, is it?
Yeah, I guess. But then you could do Starship Troopers and you just have the army show up and just blow them all away.
I say I'm fine with day one. No one knows what the fuck's going on. There's screaming, cars are crashing, planes are fucking falling out of the sky. If that's like the first 20 minutes to half an hour tops, I'm fine. And then once they realise, or it fast forwards to like day 15, something, and it focuses again on these two people that we've seen in the trailer, maybe one or two other people, and it's just back to what we know and love about A Quiet Place. I'm fine with that, and I think it would. Yeah. I think it's got potential. Visually, like you just said, it looks fantastic visually.
Yeah, I can't knock it. If it's just a big romping monster movie, then again, I don't doubt that it won't look great. But again, like the thing that makes the xenomorphs so scary is because you only get to see it every now and then, scuttling around in the dark. And the things that make the Terminator scary is, he's unstoppable. He cannot sleep. He can't get killed. Like it's this unstoppable death machine.
Yeah.
But then when there's like 5,000 of them, it's like, well, you're lessening the effects a little bit. When there's a nest, I love Starship Troopers. It's such a stupid, silly film.
But it knows what it is.
I love it. But at the start of that movie, there's this huge like invasion thing. It's like this D-Day alien thing, and there's this brand new team of rookies, this squad of rookies that have just come out of base camp, out of their training camp.
Yeah,
and they get, there's like huge, there's thousands of them, and then one of them just sort of comes scuttling up to them, and they're like, "Oh shit, we've got to deal with it." And it takes like 7 of them to take this thing out, and then by the end, you've got Denise Richards, Casper Van Dien, and the fella that's been banging his ex-girlfriend. There's 3 of them. One of like Denise Richards has had like her leg like ripped through. And like they're just killing like dozens of them in one go, and it's just like, what happened? Like, you can't be any better at shooting at them than you were before. It's the same with this. It's like
growth.
But I don't really want an explanation of just like, oh, it's an alien invasion force, and they drop all the things in that kill everyone, and then they can go and nickel the resources. Yeah. I like that they travel and they'd meet one camp and they'd say, oh, that's what happened, or then they'd meet another camp. It's like, no, this is a government experiment. It's all going fucking tits up or whatever. Like it's the mystery of what's happening. Why are they there? Like, oh my god, they're actually humans after all.
Yeah.
Like, or they don't exist. But it's all psychological. Like, the mystery of it is kind of what makes it scary and cool at the same time.
But it's because you don't know what they are.
Exactly.
That adds to it.
We've already seen in the trailer. Okay, well they're definitely aliens.
Yeah, because
they all come flying in from the sky. So unless those just happen to be like, it's just a very well filmed trailer, and it's like that's just satellites and stuff coming out of the sky, which is unlikely.
No.
But yeah, it's like, okay, well they're aliens, but then that means that either that's an alien invasion force, and that's just what they do when they turn up on a planet, or they are specifically designed, and an alien force will just drop 1 million of them on a planet, and anyone that makes any noise, they'll get killed, and then they can just swan in afterwards and take the planet. But I don't want to know that. It's a horror film. If it's like a science fiction film, and then you go, sure, what's going on? Why are they here? How are we going to stop them? You need an answer to it. This is just they're an unstoppable, unkillable monster, or theoretically, and then when you're backed into a corner, then you've got to improvise. You do the scream, and then you shotgun it like right in the side of its neck, and that kills it. And then you go, fuck me, they can be killed. That's incredible. There's just something so much more personal and intimate and scary because of which fuck me, when she's giving birth in that bathtub and that thing is coming up the stairs. It's just like, there is no way that you can get out of this without it's so tense.
Well, this one, I mean, that's why the first one is excellent.
I don't need to see 1,000 of them tearing up a city. That I know that they're capable of doing that, and as soon as someone makes any noise, then if they'd have done this the other way round, and this was the first one, and then it was following them, and then it just becomes, then it goes from a monster movie to a terrifying psychological, horror movie. Then that would be incredible progression. I think this is going again. You could be completely right in that it could just be big action stuff, and then it's just,
I hope so,
being stalked through a subway in the dark, like a horrifying Resident Evil game, like that sort of thing. I'd be a bit more on board for, even though I don't like scary things anyway. But it just seems it would be a waste of the good work that's already been put in so far to make the other two. That's
the best example of it, though. Like, you're not a massive horror fan, like video games and movies and stuff, but there's certain ones that you like, and Quiet Place is one of them. But if this turns into just generic monster scary film, then it's lost that little bit of something that made it very special. And the birth scene's a great example of that with the first one. And there's none of that really in the second one, other than when they're in the vault. It's not a vault, the safe thing. I
don't remember that.
I can't remember the exact thing, but he basically says you have to do something, and they don't, and then the monster comes in, and I can't remember what actually happens, but
sure.
That's probably the closest scene you get to it. And on its own, the second one's it's a really good film, but compared to the first one, it's shit. And it's a shame because that in itself taints the first one. Because again, do the first one, don't no more after that. Fucking iconic. Now it's got 2 shit sequels. And it's like, it might not be though, might not be. And I say it like I really didn't like the second one. I enjoyed it. Just wasn't as good. But we'll see. When did I say it's out? June 28th, Dan.
So 5-6 months.
Also, months. Because we didn't know it was a thing, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So close to release.
I don't know. I'm not going to be running out to go and watch it. I just don't think it's going to be enough. Like Cloverfield is a really good. Its point of difference is okay. Well, it's all found footage.
Yeah.
It's all on a camera. But it's still giant monsters. It's terrifying little things that are running around killing everyone. If it bites you, you fucking explode. And it's awful. That how there's a mystery around it, and then there's Cloverfield Paradox and Cloverfield Lane, which again is kind of putting
real good.
But it's not because of all the fucking aliens running around.
It is until the end.
It's exactly the whole beauty of that film is because you've got
John
Mary. Well, you've got John Goodman, who's just there is an alien attack going on out there. I did you both a favour by keeping you locked in here.
Yeah.
You've got to stop asking to go out because you're idiots and you just need to trust me. And then they I can't remember what happens, but they knock him out or kill him or whatever, and then they get out and it's oh my god, it was real. They are aliens and they are invading. That's great because it's sold so well that it's just maybe he is just a paranoid maniac.
That's the beauty of it, is because the whole film you're the same thinking as them, that he's lying about the aliens, he's keeping them against the will, and he's sold to be the bad guy, and he's not. He was telling the truth the whole time. It's just that
it didn't go about it particularly well. Maybe,
no, but that I suppose some of that could be the director could go, well, that's you're looking at him through their eyes and they're misconstruing a lot of what he's actually. It's probably not the case. I think they've just gone, right, be as creepy as fuck.
We need to sell the creep factor on this.
We need a big old twist.
Imagine if it was Cloverfield Lane, and then it wasn't aliens.
Yeah,
it wasn't anything to do with the Cloverfield attack in New York. Like, it wasn't anything to do with that at all. It was just, and then it turned out it was set like 5 years before the alien monster dropped in, and it was completely unrelated.
But that would still be a good film, though.
It would still work, because then you'd be like, oh, but I know that I know that there's aliens. Oh, but no way, it's a prequel.
That would have worked.
And then there was the Cloverfield Paradox.
I
which
haven't
is the
seen
Netflix.
that one.
Again, the fact that I don't really remember much from it, other than it was like on a space station, probably doesn't sell it in a good light. But I don't remember going, God, what a waste of a franchise. I just don't remember it being.
You also don't remember watching it.
I know Chris O'Dowd's in it, I think.
Is it?
And I think he just it's like a wibbly wobbly alien that's sort of like zipping around in the ship or whatever, or killing him or something like that.
I know what you're on about now. I've still not seen it, but
I think it is a Netflix original, I think. But yeah, it's like it's something to do with. I don't remember if it's like that's the predecessor for the Cloverfield film. Like I can't remember that.
If it's in space, I would assume it is.
I can't remember.
How long do you reckon it's going to be until we get like a Freddy versus Jason kind of thing, and you've got the aliens from Cloverfield versus the aliens from A Quiet Place, A Quiet Field?
I think you're more likely to get a Cloverfield monster. It's going to be Cloverfield versus Godzilla versus Kong, and there's going to be a massive battle, and they're just going to have to beat the living shit. I mean, to be fair,
excuse me,
the Muto things that Godzilla kills in the first one, they're basically the Cloverfield, and he didn't really struggle too much with that. So I don't think it would be much of a matchup. Maybe we need to do that. We need to do a monster matchup.
And see monster mash up.
Yeah, without copyright infringements, and we get like your Cloverfield monster, your Godzilla, your Kong, and we put them all in a big field and see who could win in a fight.
Maybe not a field, but
big field, obviously.
As long as
like the tripods from War of the Worlds, like this giant thing. It's got lasers, but you knock it over or you get the aliens inside. Well, it's useless now, but it's got a laser that can just disintegrate anything.
Well, the beauty of this is we can do, especially now he's quit YouTube. We can take the reins of game theory, that kind of thing, where you can. That's just a theory, a podcast versus player, no copyright intended theory.
Cancelled.
But you can get like looking at. We wouldn't do as much research as Matt Pat did, but you can look at certain stuff that Godzilla's done, the monsters from A Quiet Place have done, and you can speculate what they can lift, what they can damage they can take, and that kind of stuff. And it wouldn't be too difficult to get a general idea of how strong something would be against another creature. Yeah. And I reckon that'd work quite well. I think that's something we could actually pull off.
Probably, yeah.
We'll look into that. I'm going to cut this out of the podcast so no one else steals the ideas.